Hey everyone, I'm Megyn Kelly. Welcome to the Megyn Kelly Show. Another night of utter chaos in Minneapolis. And the most frustrating part, all of this was totally avoidable. If only law enforcement and ICE had been permitted to simply make the arrests that they are legally entitled to and charged with making. There was an illegal immigrant involved here, and they tried to arrest this guy. And instead of just being allowed to do it, they have been subjected, like all the ICE officers in Minneapolis, to nonstop harassment from far left wannabe warriors. It's like these fat, unattractive, gross people who were too chicken shit to actually sign up for the military and be true tough guys and gals have decided to find their courage through their rolls of lard on the streets of Minneapolis. I'm sorry, but that's what's happening. It's like nose ring central. And they're super, super tough, talking into their iPhone and then going out there and shouting in ICE's face. And then what happens when ICE actually has to arrest them is they wind up cowering in fear and crying like little babies. Like you saw the woman yesterday who was all tough talk until they actually tried to get her car out of the road. And then she said, I'm just a mom. I'm just a mom. We have more of that today. Okay, but here's what happened last night. According to the Department of Homeland Security, it all started just before 7 p.m. local when federal law enforcement conducted a targeted traffic stop of an illegal immigrant. Why was he even on the streets of Minneapolis, one might ask? One sane person might ask. Joe Biden's administration released him into the country over 3 years ago. Rather than comply with officers' demands, the suspect fled the scene and ended up crashing into a parked car. A pursuit on foot then ensued, and the officer caught up to the illegal, who then resisted arrest and violently attacked the officer. As Trump once famously said, they're not sending their best. Two other individuals came out of a nearby apartment. They decided to join the fight. Was it on the side of the law enforcement officer making a proper arrest? No, of course not. This is Minneapolis. They decided to help the illegal immigrant attack the officer, joining in with a snow shovel and a broom handle. Now it's 3 against 1. DHS described the attack as an ambush. In the scuffle, the original suspect got a hold of the shovel and the broomstick and began beating the officer with them. The officer fired one defensive shot. This is what the left has asked for, hitting the initial suspect in the leg. This is what they're supposed to want. All 3 individuals who attacked the officer then fled to a nearby apartment and barricaded themselves inside. The attackers were eventually taken into custody, as eventually they all are when they engage in this kind of behavior. And both the illegal immigrant who was shot and the officer, sadly, are now in the hospital. We believe at this hour, neither has been discharged. DHS writing in a statement, quote, this attack on another brave member of law enforcement took place while Minnesota's top leaders, Governor Walz and Mayor Frey, are actively encouraging an organized resistance to ICE and federal law enforcement officers. Their hateful rhetoric and resistance against men and women who are simply trying to do their jobs must end. Despite the tension between local and federal officers, Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara spoke at a press conference last night and largely backed up DHS's account of the shooting. Watch.
At 6:51 p.m., Minneapolis police received a 911 call reporting a shooting on the 600 block of 24 Avenue North. Preliminary information indicates that there was a struggle with a federal agent in front of the resident. During the struggle, the federal agent discharged his weapon, striking one adult male. The adult male then retreated inside of the residence, where he remained inside and refused to come out. Eventually, federal agents made entry into the residence, and the individual was brought to an ambulance where he has been transported to the hospital. Minneapolis police have secured the crime scene around the location, and the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, as well as the FBI, are on the scene processing the evidence. I believe there's a broom and like a snow shovel that's on the scene. And yes, I have heard information that that some individual, at least one person, may have assaulted federal law enforcement. Yes.
Oh, you don't say. We might want to share that with the New York Times because they're not convinced. Publishing a story with the headline, Federal agent shoots immigrant in Minneapolis. Homeland Security says nothing about the fact that he was being attacked by that immigrant and two others. Zero mention that the suspect was an illegal immigrant. Just an immigrant, just like some random minding his own business immigrant, like could have been Elon Musk, just an immigrant. Nothing about him being an illegal, nothing about the shovel, nothing about the broom handle. And now today, this morning, look at this. The New York Times wasn't satisfied with its headline. It actually had to go back and edit it again. Did they add in broom handle? Did they add in shovel? Did they add in illegal? No, they took out the word immigrant. Now it's federal agent shoots man in Minneapolis, prompting tense protests. Just man. Like an American, it was an American, basically. It was just some random man minding his own business who got shot by the evil ICE. So now he's not an immigrant, let alone an illegal immigrant, let alone an illegal immigrant who was beating the cop with a shovel and a broomstick and had the help of two other illegals or witnesses. In the body of the story, it also takes issue with DHS's version of the events leading up to the shooting. Quote, the federal government's narrative could not be immediately verified. Hello, the police chief corroborated virtually all of it on camera. We just played part of it for you. Do a little work, New York Times, just a little bit of effort. By the way, not for nothing, but there's a viral clip online where Mayor Fry is talking about how, there are people in this town, he's sympathetic with them, the ones protesting ICE, who want the Minneapolis police to fight ICE on the ground. And you see this same police chief with his eyebrows go up to the ceiling. This is as high as mine can go, thanks to my Botox. But trust me, his went even higher. He got all sorts of lines that I'm not capable of getting anymore, thanks to all the poison in my forehead. But trust me, his eyes went up and there were lines. You could see the police chief was like, maybe we don't highlight that. And also, that's not an idea that will ever come to fruition. We will not be fighting ICE officers. You can see it in his face. So there's no local leadership. There's no leadership whatsoever to turn down the temperature. Last night or any other night in this thing, around 200 protesters, as a result, began gathering at the scene of, the poor man, quote, just man, being shot by the evil ICE officer, and began additional attacks on law enforcement, shooting fireworks at both the local and the federal cops, and reportedly throwing snowballs at immigration agents. Take a look at this video by independent journalist Nick Sorter of protesters attacking a federal vehicle and going for what could possibly go wrong, its weapons locker.
Hey, don't hit them!
And they got it. Great. And here's what the radicals had to say about what they pulled out of the federal vehicle.
One of the ICE agent vehicles got broken into, and I found this paperwork. It has a list with FBI operation info. It's got full names of FBI agents, phone numbers, emails. There's maps on where they're staying, where they're holding immigrants. There's hotel names in there. There's judge names. This paperwork has people's full names and their emails.
And she's showing it all on camera. By the way, they did appear to get the weapons out of the weapons locker. Here it is in SOT 13A. He's hammering at it.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Here's some bullets.
Hey, that's a 40 shell.
Great. We saw the rifle. Now they're finding the ammo. and they start pulling law enforcement patches out of the container that was holding the weapons. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, a Democrat, spoke last night and tried to claim the moral high ground on this, okay? Suggesting like his messaging on all of this has been picture perfect. He's been the model of calm, sober leadership. But we're just going to do a little quick comparison between the comments he made last night versus those he made just days ago.
So the question was, there has been the accusation that local officials have perhaps taken up the temperature in Minneapolis. First, I'll say, show me a single place where I have encouraged anything other than peace. And I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis.
Oh, I guess that was just, he was asking for support for ICE there. So what about Minnesota Governor Tim Walz? Well, last night he was busy giving a special prime time address. He hasn't missed 1 minute of this. He's loving this. It's distracting from his allowance, at a minimum, of all the fraud happening in his state. This is a much better narrative for him. The evil ICE has invaded Minnesota and is harassing innocent victims. Those are lies, but he's telling them similar, different kind of fraud, frankly. So he's been all over the cameras. And last night he decided to hold a prime time address where things didn't go exactly as planned when he was speaking live. Check out the audio on this.
The federal government is raining down upon our communities.
What's happening in Minnesota
2,000 to
right
3,000
now
armed
defies
agents of
belief.
the federal government
News
have been
reports
deployed to
simply
Minnesota.
don't do justice to the level
Armed,
of chaos,
masked,
and disruption
undertrained
and
ICE
trauma.
agents
The federal
are going door to
government is
door,
raining down upon our
ordering
communities.
people to point
Oh my
out
God,
where
so
their
bad.
neighbors of color
Armed
live.
agents of the federal government
They're pulling
have been
over
deployed to
people,
Minnesota.
I don't even know what's
indiscriminate,
happening.
armed,
That's
including
it.
U.S.
Just
citizens.
for the
Undertrained-
viewers at home, this is what we can get out. This is what we call mix minus in our ears as anchors, when like you're doing a live hit in the field and you're saying tonight at Andrews Air Force Base, the following, and then like 3 seconds after you say it, you hear in your ear tonight at Andrews Air Force Base, and it's nearly impossible to do. If you ever see a reporter rip the earpiece out of his or her ear, that's what's happening to them. It seems to have happened somehow on the live audio feed, which is a new issue. I've never seen that happen. I don't know what it was, but it was a disaster. They eventually figured it out, and then they posted the proper remarks on YouTube. And when we could finally understand Governor Walz, we heard some of the most inflammatory rhetoric about the feds from a sitting governor since like the Civil War. Take a look.
What's happening in Minnesota right now defies belief. News reports simply don't do justice to the level of chaos and disruption and trauma the federal government is raining down upon our communities. 2,000 to 3,000 armed agents of the federal government have been deployed to Minnesota. Armed, masked, undertrained ICE agents are going door to door, ordering people to point out where their neighbors of color live. They're pulling over people indiscriminately, including U.S. citizens, and demanding to see their papers. And at grocery stores, at bus stops, even at our schools, they're breaking windows, dragging pregnant women down the street, just plain grabbing Minnesotans and shoving them into unmarked vans, kidnapping innocent people with no warning and no due process. Let's be very, very clear. This long ago stopped being a matter of immigration enforcement. Instead, it's a campaign of organized brutality against the people of Minnesota by our own federal government.
That is so incendiary. How insane is that? That is just beyond. I'm trying to find here it is. The rapid response, it's rapid response 47 on X. Respond as following. And it sounds harsh. It was absolutely deserved having heard that. They write tampon. I love that they've just shortened it now to tampon. It's no longer tampon Tim. By the way, that's also happening in Connecticut, where our ridiculous Democrat governor has made sure that there are tampons in the boys' rooms in public schools in Connecticut. We'll be getting to that story in more depth soon. But tampon, they write, is currently attempting to do a live, highly produced statewide address to condemn the enforcement of our immigration laws in Minnesota, but it's not going so well. You're a loser, at Tim Walz, and you always will be. Just resign in disgrace, you buffoon. Sounds right. I think it's the right tone. I think they nailed it. Okay, tampon, take a seat. Because honestly, you're probably months, maybe 12 at the outside from potentially going to jail. So enjoy your last few high moments. You genuinely might be behind bars very soon. Joining me now to discuss this and all the news is Adam Carolla, one of our very favorite people. And two big announcements as he joins us, okay? This is one of the reasons why we're having Adam on today, so we can tell you some great news. You know, we have the Megyn Kelly channel over on SiriusXM now. It's channel 111, and it's doing great. We're loving it. We have so many fun people over there for a daytime lineup that is keeping SiriusXM subscribers entertained all day long. And guess what? From now on, you're going to have the 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern block filled by the incredible Adam Carolla Show podcast. It will air there starting on January 26th, which is awesome. And also equally exciting, I'm going to be joining Adam on his tour. It's going to be Friday, January 30th in Chester, New York. You can get tickets to that show and all the rest at adamcarolla.com. I would love to see all of you. Please do go if you're anywhere in the Northeast or elsewhere. I learned on my tour, some of the greats will fly cross country just to make an event like this. And so we'd love to see you. adamcarolla.com. Again, January 30th in Chester, New York. Don't miss a moment. Subscribe to this show on YouTube and follow me on Insta, Facebook, and X. Grand Canyon University, an affordable private Christian university based in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona, is one of the largest universities in the country. Praised for its culture of community and impact, GCU integrates the free market system, a welcoming Christian worldview, and free and open discourse into more than 360 academic programs, including more than 300 online. Join a nationwide community of learners, redefining what online education looks like through academically rigorous, industry-driven programs that can spark bold ideas and prepare you for a future that matters. In addition to federal grants and aid, GCU's online students received nearly $161 million in institutional scholarships in 2024. Find your purpose at Grand Canyon University. Private, Christian, affordable. Visit gcu.edu/myoffer to see the scholarships you may qualify for. Adam Carolla, welcome back.
Always great to see you, Megyn.
Oh, okay. There's so much. Like the news gods have teed up so much for you. Our neighbors of color are getting kidnapped. Innocent people kidnapped in the streets by the evil ICE. As Mayor Fry says, I've been totally sober and careful in my messaging / get the fuck out, ICE. What do you make of these Minnesota, quote, leaders and how they seem to be genuinely endangering these ICE officers?
Well, they're endangering the ICE officers and they're endangering their own citizens because, you know, if I was just sitting at home and somebody ran into my house and said, hey, there's some jackbooted thugs from the government and they're kicking open doors and they're grabbing innocent Americans and mothers and pregnant women and dragging them out to vans and disappearing them in gulags in South America, I would grab an axe or baseball bat and I would go running out of the house if that's what we thought was happening, and it would make me a hero for doing it. I mean, we had the French resistance. The French resistance were heroes because they had Nazis and they were occupied and they were able to sabotage and cause damage and kill. And, you know, they forged papers, they forged documents, they wore uniforms, they did everything they could to hurt the Nazis, and they're considered heroes for that. So if these are Nazis, then why wouldn't you be the rebirth of the French resistance? And then that would thus make you a hero. So what they are saying, you know, what they're saying when they say, they're not saying go out and bonk an ICE officer over the head. They're not saying that. What they're saying is we have an occupation by a dangerous rogue government agency that's kicking open doors and disappearing people of color. That is you saying bonk people over the head. That's what you're saying.
Yes. Let me put an exclamation point on it here with more from Tim Walson. Listen to the words he uses in this SOT 11.
Donald Trump wants this chaos. He wants confusion. And yes, he wants more violence on our streets. We cannot give him what he wants. We must protest loudly, urgently, but also peacefully. Tonight, I want to share another way you can help. Witness. Help us establish a record of exactly what's happening in our communities. You have an absolute right to peacefully film ICE agents as they conduct these activities. So carry your phone with you at all times. And if you see these ICE agents in your neighborhood, take out that phone and hit record. Help us create a database of the atrocities against Minnesotans, not just to establish a record for posterity, but to bank evidence for future prosecution.
I do think it's funny that this douchebag reminded every 32-year-old woman to bring their phone with them when they leave the house, as if anyone
as if we need it,
as if you need that heads advice. Up. Yeah. Look, he's dumb. He's off. It's weird. We're living in a time where the people who think they're heroes are the evil ones in this group, and of course, they have to paint Trump as an arch villain from a comic book movie so that they can paint themselves as the heroes. So it's not really about painting Trump as a villain for the sake of portraying him as a villain. It's so they can narcissistically make themselves into heroes.
Yeah. God, thank you so much for saying that. So this is what when I was watching that tape of them trying to get the weapons successfully out of the ICE vehicle. That's what I was thinking to myself, Adam. These are like the frustrated loser AV kids from high school who never were popular, who actually weren't on the football team, who probably got their asses kicked more than once, who suddenly now feel like Navy SEALs out there,
right?
And like, they're ready to, show some swagger for the first time in their lives. Notice the ICE agents are actually nowhere near the actual scene, but it does seem like cosplaying.
It is. And I mean, that's why in the last decade, you've heard the term hero and superstar, and they do the Academy Awards, and then the woman wins Best Actress, and then she gets up there and she says Matt Damon is brave and he's braver than any actor I've ever worked with, and everyone's a hero, everyone's a superstar, everyone is brave. It's all the talk because there's a vacuum of actual events that make you a hero. It used to have to be Audie Murphy and charge a German machine gun nest or disarm a guy with a gun on the subway or something. You had to do activities that put your life in danger in order to be called a hero. And these cowards do not want to put themselves into danger, but they do like the mantle of hero. So they create this comic book talk about standing up and fighting back. Think about, and by the way, most of this is women, which is insane. Think about this concept. You have these school teachers. It's a middle-aged, paunchy female school teacher. It's a 46-year-old overweight woman with no weapons and no training whatsoever. She announces on the internet, if ICE comes to her class, they have to go through her first. Okay, what does that even mean? She has no training. She has no weapons. She's fat. She's slow, and she's dumb. So ICE can easily go through her. Now, she knows she's never going to see this scenario, but she can announce on the internet that ICE is going to have to go through her or Trump is going to have to go through them. And then they get to cast themselves as heroes. And that's what it's all about. It's all about narcissism in an age of no religion. So they're not religious.
That's so true.
And their religion is them and their narcissism. And they all talk about standing and fighting. I mean, if you listen to all their talk, it's all insanely narcissistic.
Yes. Okay. And then when the chips are down, they cower. Like yesterday, we played the soundbite of the mom who'd been harassing ICE. But then when they actually got up in her face, she was like, I'm just a mom. I'm just a mom. Oh, please let me go. Please, please, please. Which then they did. And now I have another one for you today where I'm going to show you two soundbites. Here, first are ICE agents confronting this driver who had been using her car to harass ICE. Watch shot 17. Listening audience, they're trying to open the door. They get the passenger's door open. She's screaming bloody murder. That's ICE harassers blowing whistles. That's their thing. Sorry, it's annoying.
Get back. Get back. Get back. Get back.
Pushing people away. All right, so you get the gist. They're getting this woman out of her car after she refused. We got to get out of soundbite because the whistles are so annoying, which is their goal.
I feel horrible.
And then check out 18.
Yeah,
Wait,
go ahead.
Wait, stand by. There's one more. 18 is the follow-up.
I want to move my car! I am disabled! I have a brain injury!
Stay back.
I am autistic and I have a brain injury! Put me down! I was just trying to get to the doctor and I'm autistic!
Adam.
Great.
So she was impeding the enforcement operation. She refused to get out of her car. They had to break her window to get her out of there so they could move the cars, they could do their jobs. Now they're carrying her away and she's saying, I'm autistic, I have a brain injury, and I was just on my way to my doctor for my brain injury because I'm disabled. I'm sorry, I can't.
All right. A few things. You know, it's interesting. Every single one of these ICE stories, when it gets reported by the LA Times or the New York Times, starts out like every single story of white cop shoots unarmed black man for minding his own business. And then at some point, we all get to learn the truth. And then the New York Times loses more credibility. But they all have the same trajectory, right? Gentle giant, hands up, don't shoot, walking away from the sky. At every single one of these arrests or injuries or shots fired or people killed, it all has the exact same trajectory because the exact same news outlets are reporting on it, and they're all biased in one direction. And I have no idea why they want to destroy their credibility. And I thought they learned over COVID and over Black Lives Matter and all that, but they evidently did not learn their lesson.
They have no desire to learn it. I'm just pulling up a little bit more detail on this woman. First of all, here's the Drudge, which has gone completely left. Headline on this: shock video, ICE terrorizes another woman. The New Republic: ICE violently arrests woman trying to pass them to get to the doctor.
Right.
Mother Jones: this is what ICE descending on Minneapolis looks like. Turns out she's an activist. Her name is Aaliyah Rahman, 42, U.S. born. Per her Tech for Social Justice profile, she's a social justice trainer who dedicates her time to LGBTQ and racial injustice causes. She's a registered Dem who says she threw herself into activism work while studying aeronautical engineering at Purdue. She doesn't sound that disabled to me. Rahman, who identifies as being genderqueer, was dating a transgender man at the time and claimed that due to the culture in rural Indiana, it was a necessity that she become involved in advocacy work. She was taken into custody again on Tuesday for the alleged assault of an ICE officer, according to DHS. They have not yet filed charges against her. But that's what we're dealing with. But, according to all those publications, it's just a disabled lady who got harassed by the evil ICE. They're supposed to be like, oh, she's disabled. Put her down. She's autistic. Sure, Jan, sure.
Right. So that's back to the cartoon superhero comic book theme, right? Because people also, shame on the people that read these publications. Use your fucking brain for just a second, would you?
Yes.
ICE is going door to door, randomly kicking open doors, grabbing citizens who look different than them and disappearing them. That's impossible. It's impossible, you idiots who believe all this shit. The woman is driving to the hospital. She wants to meet with their neurosurgeon. She's just going down a side street. Next thing you know, ICE pulls them out. That's impossible because there's nothing in it for ICE. It'd be the worst publicity in the world. And everybody's in their car driving somewhere. So how would it work? They just pull over every 42-year-old woman who's driving a Honda Accord? Use your brains, idiot. It's the same story. Oh, the black guy, he was just napping in the park, and the cop came up and shot him in the back. Yes, use your heads. Would you wake up, dumbos? These are adults with college educations, and they buy into it every single time. And then it gets disproven, and they go right on to the next one, and they buy right into it again. It's on them.
It is amazing to me when you see a man, like there's quite a few men out there. I do think this is a Karen intifada. That's what we're seeing overall. And some of the lunacy of these women who have I'm sorry, but they've never gotten some in their lives. Like they are, whatever the female for incel is. I think incel generally refers to young men who have never had sex. Mm-hmm. They're fincels. And, they continue to make these videos trying to talk tough or trying to talk about their trauma of all this thing. And today's, there's been a lot. This one may take the cake. I think it's 53, Lauren. Play it.
This whole entire administration is so fucked. I'll tell you, it's so fucked. It actually put my body into menopause. I am so thoroughly repulsed by fucking Donald Trump and all of his cronies, and they literally threw my body into menopause. It's like in Twilight when the vampires come around and more wolves start turning. They are literally turning American women into women going through menopause because we are so
menopausal Karens
repulsed by you incels. Fuck you.
Oh, incels.
Wow.
Fuck Donald Trump.
Why is that on our brain?
Fuck everyone who follows him. You all are disgusting fucking pigs.
Okay, I've got to say, Adam, this completely reminded me of Rosie O'Donnell, who was getting some sort of a thing on her lip and did a disgusting video worrying about whether it was herpes and suggesting that she thought Donald Trump was causing it. Mm-hmm. And now here's the second video she made updating us on the whole ordeal.
Well, hey, everybody, it's Friday all day, as my Nana would say. And look what I have on my lip. Everybody's been saying, you have herpes all this time, and I never had a cold sore in my life. And now I have a cold sore. And it makes me think that perhaps this weird pimple that had a tiny little head was a cold sore too.
Ew.
And so I talked to my doctor today, and I did a video telehealth, and they said that it's not a cold sore, it's some reaction to the sun. So I don't know. I will let you know tomorrow if I do, in fact, have herpes, as some of the taunting from the MAGA people in the last couple of weeks. Hasn't it been fun, ladies and gentlemen?
Well, then don't do extreme close-ups.
To be standing in direct opposition to everything he is and represents. And always have been. And always will be. Yep, everybody, it's a cold sore. There you have it. Stress can do horrible things. Strange thing about my cold sore, doesn't hurt. Not sure why I get a non-hurting cold sore. Cold sore. I almost said coleslaw, which would be weird.
Oh,
I'd have thoughts.
Why are these women so gross?
All right.
Yes, please share them all.
Well, first off, the first cow that was up there complaining about being thrown into menopause, for someone who's going through hot flashes, she was pretty well bundled up. You know, she was wearing a scarf and a parka right in the middle of a hot flash storm. So I don't know if I believe her.
Challenge.
If you use the term that I'm fond of using, which is all roads lead to narcissism, it will explain much of what we're seeing out there. Also, there's a phenomenon I think that's going on, which is women, and there's a sort of gyno-fascism that's going on now, where women are getting in all these positions of power, and it turns out they're cruel. Like they're crueler than men. Men may punch harder, but when Scott Adams dies, it's the women who write this super cruel obits on him, like just mean-spirited stuff. It's not about a physicality, but it's like, my first impression of when they write horrible things about someone who died could be Charlie Kirk, gun to the neck stuff. It's cruel. You know what I mean? And it's mean. It's super mean-spirited. It's not physically aggressive, but it's emotionally really, really cruel. And I think women have that. And women don't grow up engaging in rough and tumble play. So all male mammals grow up wrestling and testing the limits. And I'll elaborate. True. I grew up playing tackle football. You were constantly testing yourself, testing the other person, knowing what was legal, what was illegal, what would get a penalty, what could hurt somebody, who to stay away from on the field. You didn't want to go heads up with everybody. Sometimes you'd get crushed. So with all the wrestling and all the rough and tumble play, guys learn limits. Women, I go on the internet now. I just see women at bars slapping 6'5" guys across the face, and guys just cold cock them. Guys just knock them out. And I'm like, it's not going to end well. Don't hit this guy. No, I wouldn't hit that guy. The guy played tight end for the Bears. I know he's a big dude. I'm not going to go mess with him, but I learned that growing up. And so women, they go up there and they spit in the face of an ICE officer, and then the ICE officer tackles her, and then she yells, "What's going on?" Well, I would know exactly what was going on if I spit in the face of anybody and they took me down. But they don't, because they grew up in this weird vacuum with their hero narcissism and a lack of religion. And then you go, well, what explains all the guys that are there doing the same thing? Those guys are young. Yeah. They weren't allowed to play tackle football. They weren't allowed to engage in rough and tumble play. They grew up super soft with helmets on, bathed in Pharrell, and they don't have that ability to discern either.
I have another theory. I accept everything you just said, and I want to add something to it. I mentioned this the other day, sort of tongue-in-cheek, but I actually do think it's a real dynamic. I don't think any of these people are having sex.
Yes.
I really don't. No. I think it's not coincidental that all these women are obese and unattractive with multiple piercings, no makeup, skin issues. That, like, I'm sorry, but if you're having positive interactions with men, where like you're going to bed with them and they're treating you well and they're, you're enjoying it and you feel the euphoria that comes after that, you're not going out there and looking at all these men as the devil enemies who you want to hurt and kill and stop. And same for the guys. These young men, we know that there's huge swaths of them who are not dating. They're not having sex with women. They're not drinking anymore. There's no release. It's not like when we were young in the late 80s, where it was like a life of debauchery, but we were all happy. There's something wrong with these people today. These are mostly like millennials, late-end millennials, who I think all of them have deeply unhappy personal lives, and it's manifesting on the streets of Minneapolis.
Oh, 100% agreed. And, you need relationships. You need to be attracted to somebody. By the way, when you're attracted to somebody, you want them to be attracted to you, and thus you don't want to get arrested and held in a tank overnight because you want to be with your honey bunny and things of that nature. And also, you want to keep yourself together. You want to cut your hair. You want to lose 5 pounds. You want to get a good job. Like, you want them to be attractive. That's number one. Number two, this sounds corny, but people used to have hobbies. Like 30-year-old guys were restoring a car in the garage. They had a project. Women had a project. Women did things. They knitted and they sewed and they built tree houses and they gardened and they were like physically engaged.
They had book clubs.
Right. They were just engaged with things. And when you're in the middle, if you really think about it, when you're really in the middle of something, like I'll do a lot of remodels. When I'm in the middle of a remodel, that's where I'm at. That's where my head's at. That's where I'm thinking about. That's where my spare time is. And if someone said, hey, let's go out for Gay Lives Matter and protest on Saturday. I go, no, I got to be at the Home Depot. I'm picking up sheetrock. I can't do that. You know what I mean? It really...
Gay Lives Matter.
Well, whatever the next group is. The point is I think I invented the ultimate pin.
I think so, too.
Mark Ruffalo,
we'll start it.
I got you.
You and I will start it in our spare time.
Mark, I got your next pin, next for the Golden Globes. But yeah, you really look. The devil makes work for idle hands. It sounds corny, but it is so true. Like you need something to live for. You need a project. You need things you're invested in. Also, you need things to lose. You know what I mean? Like I'm a homeowner. I don't want to go out and get injured by an ICE officer and not be able to pay my mortgage or get sued by somebody if I throw a rock at a van. You know, I got a house. I don't want to lose my house. Like you need to own something. You need to have relationships. You need to have hobbies. You need to be engaged. These people are not engaged. It's edibles, celibacy, and video games.
Mm-hmm. And leaning into unattractiveness. We've seen this. There's a thing after Trump won, another protest wave. And now here, all these women start shaving their heads, which I guarantee you, sisters, is not the answer. No one's life, no female, ever got better after she shaved her head. And it's like they think it's a form of empowerment. Meanwhile, it's like hair is considered very attractive by men. It's something that kind of softens you. Like they're looking to be like hard and nasty and even grosser than they started. I'm going to give you an example of this woman who wants us to believe she's super empathetic. But by the way, she doesn't even know Renee Good's proper name, who's the woman who was killed in that ICE incident after she tried to run him over. Listen to SOT 21. She's got the long hair. She's shaving it. And she writes on here, we watched Renee Cook get brutally gunned down by ICE. It's not, and so she wrote it. She took the time to write it. We're just watching her with a sad face shave her hair off. She's getting progressively upset. Yes, because you're shaving off your hair, which doesn't look good. You look like a man now. That makes most women upset. So they think this is an act of defiance. Adam, I think it's an act of foolishness and one literally every woman regrets when she does it.
Well, again, back to narcissism. Like you can shave your head. I've shaved my head. I went one year in Halloween when I was 19 as Mr. T, but I didn't film myself shaving my head and then put it out there so people thought I was a hero. So keep in mind, everyone who's doing whatever it is they're doing, the only reason we know about it is because before they set up the razor, they set up the camera, and then they film themselves and they put it out there. So it's all a narcissistic disorder. Also, think about the narcissism. I've seen so many videos of so many women who are dumpy, in their 50s and in horrible shape, and nobody wants to bang them. And then they do a video going, fellas, sorry, the vagine is closed until after Trump. And it's like, that's like, it'd be like me making a video going, you know what, supermodels, no more blowing me if Kamala Harris is elected, okay? Do you hear that, Claudia Schiffer?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Okay, here is, it's not exactly that woman, but it is somebody who I think claims to be a woman. And this just gives you a window into the mentality of what we're dealing with out there, the ICE agents. Look at SOT 23. I'm going to have to describe this one for the audience. SOT 23 for the listening audience involves, let's watch it.
I'm very privileged. I am white.
Oh, God.
I have a great community, and I have
a
roof
beard.
over my head, as well as job security.
An actual beard.
I work at a Renaissance festival or a medieval festival.
Yeah, of course you do.
Varies. But when you spend time in the 12th or 16th centuries, you are escaping reality. And it's hard to build your life around a fantasy that is still deeply enmeshed with reality. And it's jarring. It's jarring to be looking at what we are dealing with in the United States and then to disappear to 12th century England. I have felt guilty for working in this industry through all this time, especially when I want to be on the front lines. When I can't physically be on the front lines. I am not just a liability, I am a target because of my size. I'm in better shape for other things in that kind of capacity, but it's been a minute since I have resigned myself to taking care of me in order to be able to make the next big fight, and that next big fight is here. So I have to launch my plan. And my plan is to launch my time traveler event.
Yeah. Narcissism.
Yeah.
But also...
yeah. Is it narcissism or is it just mental illness? Like, I think there's a fair amount of just raw mental illness out there.
Well, I think mental illness is sort of narcissistic or can just lead to that, which is a sense of grandiosity, right? So you think everyone is hanging on your every syllable. So, thinking you're Napoleon is a mental illness, but it's also grandiosity, but it's also narcissistic. So maybe they all sort of swim in the same pool.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I was thinking about, Megyn, though? I had a bizarre thought, but 1,000 years from now, when they study our civilization, they're going to see tons and tons of footage of dumb bearded cows with bad frames making stupid proclamations over and over and over. And then some historian 1,000 years from now is going to go, where's Abe Lincoln? Where is Ben Franklin? Where is Thomas Jefferson? I want to see some of their film. And they'd go, oh, none of that exists. We just have dumb shits talking about nothing in a minivan. They do nothing. We have nothing. Like, you don't have 5 minutes of Thomas Jefferson? No, they didn't. No, he has nothing. We have a drawing of it. We have a drawing of it, but we have 200,000 hours of these dumb cows talking into their cameras. It's going to be devastating.
It's not our best. Not our best. I want to say we just got this in from DHS. You'll be shocked to learn that the other two guys who helped the guy being arrested by ICE, who resisted, who joined in with their broom handles and their shovels, they too are illegal immigrants, according to ICE. I'm shocked to learn it. And this is a picture of the main guy. Here are the picture of all three of them. This is the main guy that they arrested. Okay, whatever. It's just as we expected it would be. Now, I have to ask you a question. I've been dying to ask you this all week because we've talked about gynofascism. We talked about that on the tour when you came with us. And these like woke, radical women who are at the center of all of corporate America, driving policy, including media. And I have to ask you, Adam Carolla, about this guy over at CBS. And I have nothing against Tony Dokoupil, or as I call him, Topra, because he's trying to be Oprah. But he put out this clip. It didn't happen naturally. He wasn't watching something super sad on television, like animal torture, and a tear came to his eye. He was giving an interview behind the scenes about the fact that he didn't grow up in Miami, okay, and was having uncontrollable tears. And Adam, he wasn't on cam, like he wasn't live when it happened. He cut the clip and he tweeted it out for all to see him crying. He wanted, this will be great. Show people me crying over the fact that I didn't get to grow up in Miami. Here's the clip in case you haven't seen it.
You said this is your favorite place in the world. Why? Why South Florida and Miami?
Well, it makes me emotional. It's so funny. I didn't think it would catch it. Because you only have one childhood, right? So, let me get a second here.
No, you're okay. I can relate. This is home.
People will to help people understand why I have such a reaction.
All the crying, still with the eyes.
Florida is where I grew up. We didn't get a lot of sleep. So.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, my grandmother's here, my father, my mother, my aunts and uncles, cousins. And it's where I would have spent all of my childhood, but we left because my father got in trouble with business. It's like, we laugh about it now, but he was a drug dealer. But the reason it's so emotional for me is because I feel like I was robbed of the full Miami experience. So when I come back, I'm always like,
wow.
All right. What's that?
Well, you want to talk about robbed of the full Miami experience? I grew up in North Hollywood watching Miami Vice on a black and white TV with no air conditioning. So I'm the real victim.
Oh, hold on. Let me get myself under control.
All right, just give me a second. I grew up in what is now called Valley Village, but was North Hollywood, in a one-bedroom, one-bathroom home with no central air, watching a 13-inch Zenith black and white, black and white TV, and watching Miami Vice. So don't tell me I wasn't further away from the Miami dream than he was. I didn't even know where Florida was when I was his age back then. So give me a break.
It's why are men doing this? It's like the Gavin Newsom leg cross. They want to telegraph I'm feminine.
Yes. Well, look, first off, guys want to be attractive to women. And if strong guys who were the captain of the football team who could fix a carburetor were attractive to women in 1955, then guys worked on that stuff. Now we've decided that being attractive to women want soft, they want emotional, they want a man who wears his emotions on his sleeves. So all of a sudden guys got the message and started turning into pussies.
No, the real women do not want that. Only woke Karens want that. I'm here to speak on behalf of all women. Normal women want men with balls who act like real men. There's a great place to pause it. We'll be back in just a minute with Adam Carolla. I have a serious question for you. What's the smart way to protect your home and family when it comes to break-ins? Well, it's not about how you respond in the aftermath, though that's what most security companies would have you believe. Nope, the smart way to handle it is to prevent a break-in before it even happens. Simply Safe flips the script, stopping criminals before they even enter. AI cameras detect threats early and alert live agents who in turn warn intruders. Setup is a breeze, no pros needed, and the app lets you check cameras anytime. Plus, there's a 60-day money-back guarantee and no long-term contracts. Simply Safe has been named Best Home Security by U.S. News & World Report for 5 years running for a reason. This month only, take 50% off any new system. This is one of the best prices you will ever see for Simply Safe. That's simplysafe.com/Megyn. Again, that's SIMPLI safe.com/Megyn and lock in your discount. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Adam, we've talked about the absurdity of all of this, but we're starting to get political data in on it, and it's not great. Not great. Here's the YouGov Economist poll on the ICE shooting dated, it was taken over January 9th through the 12th. Did you see any of these videos of the shooting of this woman? 69%, yes, I've seen it. Based on what you know, was the shooting justified? 30% justified, 50 not justified, 20 not sure. Is ICE making Americans more or less safe? 34% say less safe, 47% say less safe. ICE is making us less safe. And 34% say they're making us more safe. Would you support or oppose abolishing ICE? Support 46%. Just 4 points short of 50 say we want to abolish ICE. Oppose 43%. I mean, that's just not good. A survey they had done just the day before asked, do you think ICE should face criminal charges, the agent for that shooting? 53% say yes. Just 30% say no. And now here's Harry Enton on CNN here in SOT 31.
Look at where we are today. We're talking about a negative 17-point approval rating. That is a 17-point drop from where we were during Trump's first term. Look at this, 51%. 51% of Americans say that ICE enforcement in cities is making those cities less safe. His net approval rating, according to our CNN polling, was at plus 3 points on the positive side of the ledger. But look at where it is now. It is way underwater at 16 points on the negative side of the equation. That is a 19-point drop in less than a year's time. The bottom line is this. ICE and Trump are losing the argument when it comes to the American people. They don't like this immigration enforcement, and it is costing Trump political points at this time. Caitlin.
One more piece of data, Adam. Dave Wasserman just tweeted out that The new Cook Political House rating, where they take a look at all the races coming up in the midterm, has just changed. 18 races have moved in Dems' direction, including 4 key races, which have been moved from lean Republican to toss-up. Now, this could be directly related to what we're seeing in Minnesota and the propaganda being pushed by the mainstream on it. Could be related to Venezuela, where some 57% say they're unhappy with the decision to, quote, run Venezuela. So I don't want to blame it all on what's happening with ICE. But it does look like I call it disinformation that's being put out by the media around this ICE shooting may possibly be having an effect. I don't know. To what do you attribute the fall in support for Trump on immigration, which was positive, as Harry Enton points out, in March, and now is 16 points underwater? That's a 19-point swing down into the negative, and those numbers from YouGov on people's views of this shooting.
Well, obviously, as previously discussed on this show and every show we ever do, the slant with the media. You know, if you'd gone to Minnesota 5 years ago and you asked how many unarmed black men were shot nationally by police officers, they would go, I don't know, 50,000 a year. And you'd go, no, maybe between 6 and 9 or 13 or nothing. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And so that's exactly right. If you stop the average American 5 years ago and said how many unarmed black men are shot by the policemen every year in this country, the average number would probably be 8,000. And the real number would be 8. So who's doing that? So why does the average citizen think it's 8,000 when it's actually 8? They weren't born with that information. They didn't come up with it on their own. CNN poisoned their brain to make them think that we lived in a racist country with rogue cops who shoot black people for no reason. So they're capable of creating this. And then if you said to that same person, would you like less police or more police? They would go less police because I don't want any more innocent black men shot. So that's the human condition, sadly. And that's why CNN and the New York Times and everything drives these things, and they're effective, obviously, because that's what's happening. As far as, you know, they want to stop the chaos. You know, Mayor Fry wants to stop the chaos. Tim Walz wants to stop the chaos. Gavin Newsom, everyone wants to stop the chaos. Well, then sit your fat ass at home and stop going out and wrestling with ICE officers if you'd like to stop the chaos. So what they do is they create the chaos, and then they go, don't you want the chaos to stop? Another sort of feminine attribute. Every argument I've ever been in with a woman, at some point they'd go, I don't want any of this. And I'd go, well, but you're doing it. You're creating the chaos. You know how many women I've seen go after other women, and then at some point they're in the room crying, going, I didn't ask for any of this. And it's like, yes, you created this. You created this. If you don't want it, you can stay at home. You can not send the tweet, not send the text, not make the phone. There's a way to avoid this. So what they do, it's kind of shrewd. They go out and create tons of chaos. The average citizen wants no chaos. I have boy-girl twins. When they were young, my daughter caused a lot of chaos, and my son caused almost no chaos. And what I wanted as a parent is no chaos. So what would happen is my daughter would call the front seat when we drove out to the beach. You go, I'm going in the front seat, and the boy can ride in the back of the car. I say, okay. Then we go to the beach. Then we'd be going home, and my daughter would go, I get the front seat again. And I'd go, that's not fair. And then she'd go, but I want the front seat. And my son would go, but you had the front seat on the way in. That's not fair. And then she would have a tantrum. And then I would turn to my son and go, just get in the back seat, because I don't want to deal with this. But whose fault is this? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want the chaos. My son doesn't want the chaos. And at a certain point, you vote to end the chaos. They're super smart this way. It's intentional. They just create all of this, and then they yell, don't you want it to end? And every dumb shit mayor of every one of these blue cities goes, we just want the chaos to end. You are the chaos.
This is all also so well funded by Democrat groups.
Yes.
Like it's completely astroturfed, and it's for these reasons exactly, to try to turn around Trump's numbers on immigration. People are still totally in favor of our closed border. The deportation effort that's underway has always been a little tighter, and now it's going into the negative territory because of these scenes in Minneapolis, which are being created for exactly this reason. Look, they were terrible. The polls were terrible on police and the crackdowns on, bad guys in the streets committing crimes after George Floyd. And then they totally reversed. But it took a couple of years, and we don't have a couple of years until midterms. So Trump's got an interesting question to ask himself, because today he's saying, if you don't start behaving in Minneapolis and stop impeding law enforcement, I'm going to declare that it's time to use the Insurrection Act and send in federal, National Guards to protect these ICE agents. And, shit's going to start to get even more real. So we'll see. Okay, now speaking of people, though, who deny reality and a media that is complicit, we have got to get to this Josh Hawley clip from yesterday. He was cross-examining a Democrat doctor. It was a hearing about the harm that I think some of these abortion pills do to women, and it veered off into other related issues. And so he decides to cross-examine this woman on nonsense, on a bunch of nonsense. Here's the soundbite. Let's watch.
Do you think that men can get pregnant?
I hesitated there because I wasn't sure where the conversation was going or what the goal was.
The goal is just the truth. So can men get pregnant?
Again, the reason I paused there is I'm not really sure what the goal of the question is.
The goal is just to establish a biological reality. Biological men, can they get pregnant?
I also think yes/no questions like this are a political tool.
I just want to know, based on the science, can men get pregnant? That's a yes or no question. It really is, I think.
I think you're trying to reduce the complexity of a lot.
I'm not. As a medical professional and as a scientist, can men get pregnant?
I think you're also conflating
This is extraordinary. Can men get pregnant?
Oh, my God.
What you were talking about is biological.
You're not going to answer my question.
Biological males.
This isn't hard, doctor. Can men get pregnant? Yes or no?
Again, I would be more than happy to have a conversation with you that is not coming from a place of trying to be polarized. And
it is not polarizing to say that there is a scientific difference between men and women. And I want this to be clear and for the record. It is not polarizing to say that women are a biological reality and should be treated and protected as such. That is not polarizing. That is truth. It is also, by the way, the United States Constitution, which offers unique protections to women in a variety of circumstances as women. And your refusal to recognize women as women and men as men is deeply corrosive to science, to public trust, and yes, to constitutional protections for women as women.
Love this guy.
Go Josh Hawley.
Go Josh.
It's amazing to watch him do his thing. God bless him. And universal condemnation for this idiot, Dr. Verma, who went to University of North Carolina, OBGYN residency at Beth Israel, got a master's from Emory, and now is a board-certified OBGYN. She's an adjunct professor at Emory. Don't send your kid to Emory. Thoughts on it, Adam?
Well, first off, they should just give a nuanced answer. Go, no, men can't get pregnant because they don't have the plumbing to get pregnant. But there's still such a thing as transgender, and there's such a thing as women being trapped in men's bodies and men's being trapped in women's bodies, and these people should be treated with dignity. But no, my dad couldn't get pregnant. Only my mom can get pregnant.
They won't do it. They're so captured by this ideological loyalty that they reject science, they reject reality, and it's up to people like Josh Hawley to hold them to account. God bless him. We needed him at the U.S. Supreme Court the other day in Washington. Adam, a pleasure. It's wonderful to see you. Thanks for being here.
Always great to see you, my dear, and I'll see you up on stage January 30th.
Yeah. I can't wait. See you then. Go to adamcarolla.com to get tickets. Up next, speaking of the trans issue and California, Tish Hyman is here for the first time and with a special announcement you're not going to want to miss. A new year means new financial goals like making sure your savings are secure and diversified. Will this be the year you decide to talk to someone from Birch Gold Group? They use an educational approach with a deep understanding of macroeconomics. There are forces pushing the dollar lower right now and gold higher, which is why they believe every American should own physical gold. So until January 30th, if you are a first-time gold buyer, Birch Gold is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. To claim eligibility and start the process, just text MK to 989898. Birch Gold can help you roll an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and you are still eligible for a rebate of up to $10,000. Consider making right now your first time to buy gold and take advantage of a rebate of up to $10,000 when you buy by January 30th. Text MK to the number 989898 and claim your eligibility today. Again, just text MK to the number 989898 to check it out. Before the cameras, before the ceremony, before history is made, every detail is chosen. From Amazon MGM Studios comes Melania. This new film takes you inside the 20 days leading up to the 2025 presidential inauguration through the eyes of the First Lady herself, where fashion is not just style, it's strategy. Witness the image-defining decisions made behind closed doors, a celebration of duty and glamour. Melania, only in theaters, January 30th. I can't wait to see that. Joining me now for the first time is a guest you've seen on this program recently, though just on tape. She made national headlines back in November after a disturbing encounter at a Gold's Gym. Tish Hyman became a sensation for calling out a man who was using the female locker room at Gold's Gym in Los Angeles and then getting kicked out herself. Here is part of that moment.
How are you?
Did you tell me or not that women like to see
I'm
dick?
the guy asking you a fucking question.
Exactly. Get out of the way now. No. Now he knows how to be a man, right? Now he knows how to be a man. Stay out of the women's locker room. We don't want it. He needs to have his gym membership revoked for that shit. And the woman told you. He assaulted me. The girl told already. We already filed reports. No.
That's fine. I want the video.
You can't get rid of me for this. I'm a woman and I have every right to not want a man in the restroom when I'm naked. There are girls naked in there. Look at them walking in there like it's okay. It's not okay.
I understand.
God bless her. That kickstarted her work, standing up for women across this country and specifically in California, where she's been calling out Democratic politicians to their faces ever since, showing up at all of their town halls and asking them about this issue. And she's impossible to dismiss. In the world of Democratic identity politics, she ticks off a few of the boxes and they don't know what to do with her because she's not with them on this issue. She's not only an activist, but Tish is a Grammy-nominated artist, too. And now she has an announcement about her next big mission. Tish Hyman, welcome to the show.
Hi, Megan. How are you?
I'm great. It's great to see your beautiful face. All right, so let's get right to it, and then we'll do a little background on you. What is the big announcement?
Los Angeles, California, I will be running for mayor. And I am so excited to announce this to you with all my heart. I plan to fight for a state in the city of Los Angeles, and I'm just excited.
I'm excited too. So did this all begin with what happened at Gold's Gym in that totally viral piece of tape?
Yes, absolutely. I was just thinking about this. I was like, this was not on my bingo card for 2026 at all. But, this experience just woke something up in me, and it caused me to have to look out and see where I would be able to get help. And at first I was actually looking for a candidate to support because I didn't even think that I would do this. And as I looked through the candidates who were running and what they stood for, I said, there's no one that I could support there. So I said, well, I got to do it myself.
That's amazing. I agree with you. I just took a quick look at who's running, and this does not seem to be a prominent issue, if an issue at all, for any of them. Let's go back and talk a little bit about how you got here. You're 43 years old. Where are you from originally? Where were you born and raised?
I'm originally from the Bronx, New York City, born and raised.
Right on. Okay. And then how did you find your way out to Los Angeles?
Well, about 2009, I was invited out to Malibu to write some songs, and I just fell in love with the city. It was just such a beautiful place. I landed and I was like, wow. And I was supposed to be there for about 4 or 5 days, but I winded up, I did a great job, and they were like, no, you can't leave. We need you here for months. So I winded up moving to Malibu straight from the Bronx. And that was culture shock and one of the most beautiful experiences of my life.
I'll bet. I can only imagine how that went. So you're a singer and you're a songwriter. You've written for Alicia Keys, for Diddy, for Kanye, some very big stars. You also sing your own songs. We pulled a little clip of one. Hope you don't mind. We thought we'd play it for the audience. This is a bit from I'm So Lucky from December last month.
I got air in my lungs, I'm so lucky. I got shoes on my feet, I'm so lucky. Got a roof over my head, I'm lucky. I got water to drink, I'm so lucky. Got light in my eyes, I'm so lucky. I got love in my life, I'm so lucky. I got fate on my side, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky, I'm so lucky. I do what I love every day. I always make a way out of no way. In this life, you get more than you take.
That's amazing. And I love the sentiment because that explains the permanent smile on your face, Tish. Like that attitude of gratitude it serves everyone well. So I love that you put it to song.
Well, your latitude is based off your attitude. And, it's a hard life no matter who you are, but you've got to be happy about having life. Because if you're alive, then you just beat out everyone who's not, and you have an opportunity to make things great and make things better.
So you're out there in Malibu, and unlike 99.9% of people who do move there, you're actually making it. You're in demand as a songwriter, and you're singing your own music too. And you have a rocket body, so you go to the gym. That's where you got that, and that's where you maintained it. And just describe a little background about how you started to see, was it always this one guy in the women's locker room, or was it other guys?
So basically, I had 4 different experiences in a 2-week span. And it was 3 different men. The first time was a 25-year-old. Maybe, I don't know if he was 25, but he looked young. And I turned around and I'm naked. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I just say, sir, I didn't get anything else out. And he was just like, you can't tell me nothing. B word, I'm a woman. Very aggressive, very angry. And I was naked, so I'm just in a state of confusion, shock, and I'm pissed off because I'm like, who are you calling a B word? I'm not used to being disrespected in my everyday life. I respect people and I give it, I receive it. So that was the first thing. And it's just like complete shock. I couldn't believe it was happening. So now I'm screaming in the locker room, like, hey, ladies, do you see this? There's a guy in here. You guys okay with this? Like, am I crazy? Like, what's going on? Staff comes in. And they weren't able to force him out, but I was making so much noise that he just left. And, he didn't leave the locker room for good. His lock was still on the locker in place, but they made him leave as I got dressed. And after I got dressed, I went to the staff and I wrote a complaint. And I was trying to figure out what to do about this. And then they kept saying, our hands are tied by law. And I was confused because I was like, there's no possible way that there could be a law that lets men in women's locker rooms when they're naked. I just couldn't even believe it. And so I went home. That day I actually posted about it on Instagram right away because I was just I felt violated. I'm a lesbian woman. I haven't been naked in front of a man in decades. Not only that, but just the disregard for my naked body and being called this word, and just the whole thing was just like, a whirlwind of emotions and all negative emotions, which I don't usually feel on a day-to-day basis because I live my life in gratitude. So yeah, and then, I went home, I spoke about it online, and then my sound got muted on Instagram. It went kind of viral, but I had a lot of pushback from the community there. And it muted my sound, so I felt like silenced in a way. And almost like,
what do you mean it muted your sound? You mean actually the sound on the video got muted, or you're
yes,
speaking
the social media the social media is, I don't even know what's going on with social media, but they pick and choose what they allow you to post. And I guess what I posted wasn't something they wanted me to post. So it just was like, I went back to it after it went viral, it went mute. And I was like, well, I got to take this down because it looks like it doesn't make sense. And there's just like a bunch of hate in the comments. And it was a lot of, stuff going on. So I was just like, all right, let me take this down. And so now I'm trying to just like, okay, now I'm realizing that not only is it a problem and there's nothing that can be done legally, there's something online that is like, it's restricting me from speaking about it. I felt silenced and I felt scared at this point because I am in the music industry and I didn't want to, there was just so much going on at once. I just got scared. And then I was like, all right, take this down. Maybe this is an isolated incident. Go to the gym the next day. And the next day I go back. I'm just trying to get back to my life. And who? I walk into this Alexis Black guy. And this time I'm like, yo, hey, I can't deal with this right now. I can't deal with this right now. You, what are you doing in here? You can't be in here. Oh, B-word, I'm a woman. You got to get with it, sister. And I'm just like, no, you're not. At this point, I'm a little more elevated. And I'm like, not with that big D, you're not. I can see it. You need to get out of here. You got on tights. You got on tights and a freaking tank top. Just get the hell out of here. So I'm just trying to like force it out. And then he was like arguing back and forth with me. I said, well, stay here. I'm calling the police. And he's like, I got things to do. No. So he left. I called the police. Of course, they never showed up. And I went and made another report and nothing was done. So now I take 2 days off because I'm just like, what is going on? I'm telling my friend and she's giving me the rhetoric of trans women or women. And I'm like, what the heck is anyone talking about? Am I in the Twilight Zone? Like, no, they're not. He had a huge peen. I seen it. It was in front of me. Definitely no man. And there was no woman in sight. And she's, in her 20s. And she's just like, well, yeah, I'm telling you. And I'm like, all right. So now 2 days go by. I'm in the locker room. I say, I'm going to go to, actually, I wasn't in the locker room yet. I said, I'm going to go to a different location. Now, mind you, I work out a different time of day every day. And I also switched the location in hopes that the newer location, this guy wouldn't go to because it's a little more expensive. I was like, maybe he can't afford it. I don't even know. I was just hoping to not see him again. Yeah. I get in there. I do my workout. Everything seems perfect. Honestly, I was so happy to be there working out and to feel like I was in a sanctuary. I was like, there's no way I'm going to see this guy today. So now I'm telling a young lady, and I say to her, we got out the sauna. There's a young lady. I can't remember her name. I think it's Leah or something like that. And we're in the bathroom and we're talking about how the new facilities are so nice and clean. I'm like, yeah. I said, I actually don't usually come here. I had to drive a little further because there was a man in the locker room the last time I was there. There were men coming in and she says, what? No way. I said, where? And then Alexis Black comes out like a locker room bully. You talking about me, B-word? And I'm like, oh, I'm in shock. I'm like, what are you doing in here? And she goes, this girl is in her 20s. She goes into full-on freeze mode. And I go into full-on mom mode. I'm like, what are you doing in here? We're not supposed to be here. You coming out here. Why are you here? And then he's like, straight women like to see D-word in the locker room. So if anything, they're looking at me more than you. And I was like, what? And at this point, I'm just livid. I'm like, get out. You got to get out. And there's a scene and they come in again. They get him to come out. He's standing there entitled, like, no, I can be in here. I can be in here. And then they get him out. It takes a long time, but they get him out. And then me and the young lady go to the front and we file a report together. And I'm thinking, this has got to do something. Because it's me. It's not just me, the angry black lady or whatever they want to see me as. Because at this point, I'm constantly being upset. And I'm talking to the staff with respect, but I'm angry. So they've been seeing me for years. They never seen me like this. So this is just an uncomfortable thing. But it doesn't matter because it has to be done. So now we filed a report. I'm thinking something's going to happen. The next day I bring my friend who's 25, who was like, oh, trans women are women. So I'm like, all right, let's go to the gym. We go to the gym and what? He's there. It's like this guy was there all day, every day. I go to the gym at a different time every day. How is he always there? I feel like I saved someone's life, to be honest, because why was he always there? With his history, and his mental state of mind. Why? So now she comes in and I said, there he goes.
He was a convicted woman abuser, just so people know, and for actually very violent behavior against his ex-wife, whose jawbone he broke in a compound fracture, meaning the bone was sticking out of the skin. And then very creepily, he took her name when he decided to declare himself a woman. His name is not Alexis. He's got a man name. And he took her name. His name is Grant Freeman, but he took the name of the wife he beat, Alexis, when he declared himself a woman. Sorry, keep going, Tish. Disgusting.
And by the way, I had no knowledge of this. This is just instinct. Instinctually, just something was off. So now I tell my friend, I say, there he goes. He's on the grass. Look at him. And she looks and she goes, that's definitely not a woman. I say, yes, exactly. Now you see what I'm saying? She's like, yeah, that's scary. So now we do our workout. We go into I always do the sauna because I was very overweight. And I find that when you do the sauna, it kind of tightens you up a bit. And that's why I don't have a lot of loose skin. So anyways, we go to the sauna. It's about 8 women in the sauna. I've been trying to get girls together now throughout this whole process. I've been collecting emails and telling girls. So now we're in the sauna. I'm like, listen, girls, there's men coming in here. And they're like, what? I'm like, yes. And one of them is here right now. He's out there somewhere. I hope he doesn't come in here today. But I'm telling you right now, there are men coming in the locker rooms. And we had like a little powwow about it in the locker room. And there was one girl in there, I remember, we all had on towels. There was one girl in there, she didn't have on towels, she had on her gym clothes. And she was sitting on the bench. And one of the staff comes in and says, hey, we don't allow clothes in there. So she goes out to change her clothes. And I thought that was very strange because like,
that is weird.
You telling her to get naked? Okay, interesting. So she goes out of the sauna. Right. And then she's like, like a child, she comes back. He's in there, he's in there. So now I'm like, nah, I got the girls with me. We're getting them out. So I'm like, come on, girls. Don't you know all those girls ran away? They didn't want nothing to do with it. I came out there by myself with my friend. And they slowly triggered. I'm like, girls, come on. I'm like, well, forget it. And I start approaching them. I'm like, you can't be in here. Enough's enough. Get out. And he's like, no, I can be in here. And one brave woman took camera. The footage that we got of him in the bathroom, there was a video that went viral of him inside the locker room. That wasn't taken on my phone. So, I get the airdrop from a cell phone of the video footage of me confronting him. And I'm like, great, I'm posting that online. So I posted on the internet and it gets quite viral because I put Marvin Gaye behind it because there was no sound. So I put Marvin Gaye behind it. And I go, what is going on? This person told me they're a woman. Am I crazy? And then the comments went crazy with positivity and people saying, what is that? That's crazy. And that let me know right then and there that this has been silenced. And most women and men in the world do not know what's going on. So that day I became aware of this and I'm like, okay. I start looking at women's groups. I start reaching out to different people. I start looking at influencers.
Let me pause you there. Let me pause you there before we get to what happened after, because there's a second video I wanted to show. This is you in Gold's gym that day after the confrontation with the man.
Is this the one where he's? Is this the one where the guy's talking to him outside the bathroom?
No, this is where we already played that one. This is where. Yeah, this is where you're angry about what's happening in the gym. Hold on, we'll watch it. In SOT 64.
Gold gym, men, grown men with big dicks in the women's locker room, and that's why I'm getting kicked out. And I want to make sure the girls know. The fuck? Everybody saw that man in the fucking locker room. No one's saying shit. And I'm fucking done with it. It's fucking stupid. It's dangerous. Me naked in front of a man without my permission. I ain't the one who gets kicked out the gym, y'all. I'm terminated for not wanting men in the locker room.
You speak for us all, because Gold's Gym was treating you like you had done something wrong.
Insane. And it was so crazy because the staff has seen me for years. And so they know that I just go in there, I work out hard and I get out of there. So it was just, and that moment was after the guy approached him in the bathroom. But that didn't happen until after what I was just talking about when we were in the locker room, and then we got the video footage of him in the locker room. I posted it. So now I was afraid because this is on the internet and it was quite viral. Like people were like, what? That is not a woman. So I'm a little bit like, this guy might hate me. So I I still got to go to the gym. I'm not going to not go. So I go to the gym and I'm walking into the restroom and I hear, like I'm making the sound, but he said the B word. And I just ran out of the locker room and I ran to the guys and I asked for help. And I said, there's a man in there. Why is he in there if he doesn't want to rape us? Why is he in there? And then that's when the men were like, what? There's a man in there? Where? And that's when the video you see of the guy confronting him. And I'm saying, now you want to act like a man. Because I felt like, finally, I got some guys in here to get this guy the hell up out of here. And even then, he defiantly walked back in there like it's his right. Strutting in there like, I was so glad that I got that.
And you would later find out it is his right, thanks to the California legislature and Gavin Newsom.
Oh my God. It was just devastating. It was very devastating. And, and then that day, the reason why that moment happened, I'm not really the type of person who goes screaming out in the middle of the streets. I'm a lady and, I don't really need attention. But they were walking me out with the police and I'm seeing all the women there. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to warn them anymore. And I was like, who's going to tell the girls? I didn't know anybody was going to I didn't know it was going to go viral. I just wanted everyone in there to know what was going on. I was like, listen. And that's why I said, I want to make sure the girls know because I was leaving and I knew that I wouldn't be back. And it was really...
They were throwing you out, Tish? They were throwing you out of the gym and did they also revoke your membership or just threw you out that day?
They walked me out with police. And then they said that they didn't cancel my membership. They walked me out with police. So I just, was quite embarrassed. And all these people who've been seeing me for years are looking like, what's going on, So I'm like, I don't know. It was like an out-of-body experience. I'm just like, there are men here. Gold's Gym. And that's what you saw. And I was really fed up about it. And I did think it was stupid. And I just couldn't believe that we were even in this place. And I was like, this is crazy. But EOS had me, Gold's Gym had me walked out with police and they gave me like a small little piece of paper. They wouldn't give me a termination agreement. They said they wouldn't do that. And then the next day, I decided I'm going to go to the other location to the gym because I wanted to work out and because they didn't give me any termination. So I go in and all the staff is like looking at me like this. And they let me in because they don't dislike me. They know, and they honestly don't like it either. No, I don't think anyone who works at these places wants to do this. It's just they don't want to lose their job, and this is law. So I go get my last workout in, and who comes in while I'm naked? A black one, a whole nother one. Supposedly a legit one. The one he had a puffy skirt to cover his bottom, and he was a little slender, but he still had a huge Adam's apple and a big head. So now I'm just pissed. I'm like, my language. My last freaking workout here, and this guy. And so I'm looking at him and I'm like, yo, could you just leave right now, please? And he's like, why? I'm like, there have been men in the locker room. I've been dealing with it for days. I just want to get dressed in peace and I want to get out of here. It's my last workout in this gym. Just let me go. He's like, I am a woman. You lucky I didn't catch you outside. And I was like, and what would you do exactly? Because at this point, it's just like grown sessions and full of fat. I'm like, and what would you do exactly? He's like, and he leaves. And the woman comes in after he goes out, get staff, and the staff comes in and escort me out. And I'm like, what are you coming in here for? You know what's happening. Let me get dressed. Get him out of here and let me get dressed. So I get dressed and, and I say to him, you seen some ass today. Are you happy? Because I was fully naked. And by this time,
I'm sure he was happy. The whole point for most of these guys is to get off on dressing like that in front of actual women. It's disgusting. It's a sexual fetish. He has no right to make you participate in his sexual fetish, which Gavin Newsom doesn't seem to understand.
Gavin Newsom just doesn't seem to understand a lot of things. But, at that point, they had already sold Gold's Gym to EOS. So this was now EOS Gym. And I had maybe one workout before that. And I told the staff, I said, oh, it's great that you guys bought the gym. You guys need to do a renovation on the first floor. I get these men in their own bathroom because they're coming in the women's locker room. And I spoke to the female staff and she said, I can't believe this. That's crazy. And that same female staff is who came into the bathroom on my last workout. And I looked at her and I said, and she just looked at me with disappointment. And I was like, look, you know what's happening. Just get them out of here so I can get dressed. So I get dressed and, you know, that was the day that they terminated my gym membership. No, and they didn't say they terminated. They were very funny with the words. We need you to refrain from using the gym. And that was that. I never heard from them again. I never got my termination agreement. Just refrain from using the gym. I've been embarrassed walking through with police like as if I'm some criminal. I've never even had a criminal record or been to jail. And I'm just like, this is the most embarrassing and humiliating.
Meanwhile, if you go to the Planet Fitness in LA, you're going to bump into another one. I'm sure you saw this viral video. We aired it on our show earlier this week of this woman who went into the women's locker room there. Forgive me, the video is disturbing, viewer warning. You can't see his actual genitalia, but you can see the shadow of him jerking off while he is sitting in the women's bathroom stall in the Planet Fitness in LA. Here it is.
Bro, I literally saw your shadow, bro. Like,
well, listen,
come on, bro.
Listen, you saw my shadow. That doesn't mean anything. I was in here. I was getting myself together. Hey, y'all gonna call the cops or do something about this? Cause this is.
We already informed our manager.
Yeah.
All right. I just want to make sure
getting
this
confronted
properly
now
gets
by
handled.
staff.
Don't act
and the woman's
innocent,
boyfriend.
bro. I saw the fucking video. I was on FaceTime watching you. You're in the fucking females' locker room beating your dick, bro. Doesn't matter who you are. That's inappropriate to be doing with females around. It doesn't matter that you're in the stall. It is inappropriate. Do that shit at home. I'm not harassing you in the stall.
You were in the women's bathroom.
I'm allowed to be in here. Doesn't matter if you're allowed to be in here. You're not allowed to fucking jerk off in here, bro.
What were you doing?
This is from drying off. This is from Concord, California, just north of you guys, Tish. But it's happening all over the state thanks to this law.
You know what's funny is that video that happened in May, and the girl's mother reached out to me and sent me the video personally, and I posted it, and that's what reignited it, and everybody posted it afterwards because she had posted it and didn't go viral. So when the mom reached out to me and emailed me, I said, "Send me that video. I'm gonna post that video." As soon as I posted it, everybody else posted it, and it went viral. You know, and then I thought it was just despicable.
This is, I mean, it's just so then you. I mean, all of this, like you were set up to be this person in a way. I don't know. I feel like I'm from upstate New York, but New Yorkers in general, and certainly actual New York City natives, and certainly Bronx natives know how to stand up for themselves. And so you get ejected into the softer, gentler Malibu, where they think it's super empathetic and kind to let the men into the women's locker rooms, but you still have Bronx sensibilities, and you decide to do something about it. And it's sad to me that only the men would have your back in the gym. That's sad to me. Women need to find their own spines and to fight for themselves as well.
They're afraid.
But then, as opposed to just like going, like being a shrinking violet and kind of like letting it drop. You had your say, you went viral. You start going on your tour where you start confronting all these lawmakers. Eric Swalwell, Scott Wiener, who is the worst. I'm just going to show the audience a little bit of that. Here's SOT 68.
As a lesbian woman who was attacked in a woman's locker room at Gold's Gym this week by a self-identifying trans woman with a documented history of domestic violence, I'm deeply concerned about women's safety in female-only spaces. What would you say to women who are seeking assurance that their safety will be protected from men who, by California law, can self-ID as women in women-only spaces, sir? Please tell me.
Yeah, so we want, everyone to be safe. And we also know that we have trans people, both men and women, who are men and women. And so, so if you're trans women are women.
Trans women are women. Okay, I'm just going to say, in my very strong opinion, Scott Wiener is a disgusting pervert. He's a disgusting, filthy pervert who has no business being in government. He's never seen a piece of trans legislation that he doesn't want to cram down our throats. Trans women are not women. They're men. He knows it. He's a very strange, creepy, perverted man. That's my opinion. And he's running now for Nancy Pelosi's House seat. He was California's problem. Now he's about to be the United States problem, because if he gets this seat, he'll be elevated to a national legislative position. And you were one of the only people to confront him. Carrie and Britt had confronted him years ago, our pals who come on the show and talk about this issue for years now. And then you're the next person I've seen do it. He didn't give you a satisfactory answer, Tish. But to me, it's almost like maybe that was another building block in your decision to say what you're doing today, right? Maybe it's like, when did the light bulb go off that, you know what, you need to do it?
Well, I mean, after I spoke to Wiener and I realized that he was just disgusting, and then I spoke to Swalwell and I spoke to Rokana, and then I was just like, all these people are like crazy. And then I started thinking to myself, I'm an artist, I'm a singer, and I'm also a very action-oriented person. And I'm not going to spend 10 years of my life begging people to change the law, because I was just trying to go through the different seats that I could make a change in. And I said, well, if there's no one in the mayor, if there's not a mayor candidate I feel confident to get behind, then I'm going to be that candidate. And I started to look at other things that was wrong with the city that I live in. I love Los Angeles. I've been there for 15 years, and I absolutely love it. It's going to be my home for the rest of my life. And so I said, you know what? Let me look at what a mayor responsibility is. Then I also looked at my life experience and my ability to unite people. And I looked at my country, and I looked at the problems in my whole entire country and how I could start in one spot that could affect the entire nation. Because in my opinion, the United States have become the divided states. And the left and the right are having an issue with flying the plane. And you can't fly the plane if it's cut in half. So people are not able to put aside their beefs, or I don't even know what's going on in there. I'm like, you guys are supposed to work together for the good of the government. And right now, as I see it, as a person from the Bronx, I analyze it like this. There's gang activity in politics. The Republicans are the Bloods, and the Democrats are the Crips, and they're at war. And we're the ones being hurt in the middle of it. And then there's people underneath them that wear the colors as if they're a part of the gangs, and you're not. You're not in those offices. We are the people. The power is in the hands of the people. So we need to unite in truth and vote for legislation. If you see a legislator who is pushing a bill or laws that you like, you vote for them, and you vote for the legislation. You don't look at them and say, oh, they're a Republican, I'm not voting for them. Oh, they're a Democrat, I'm not voting for them. And I said, Tish, you can come into this with the same energy you came into the music business. Music business, you know, I'm very well respected and revered because I'm a nice person. I also connect people. I know how to create good business opportunities, and I know how to nurture talent, and I know how to pick the right people for the rest positions. I might not know everything, but one thing I know is that teams win games. And although I'm very new in my political career, I'm like, well, Karen Bass has been in a political career her whole life, and this is where she's at this point in her life. And all of these people, I don't want to disrespect anyone, because I understand that, you know, there's a lot of time you put into things, and you might start one way and end another way. And even being in the music business, I came in with a pure spirit about making music that I love, and I made real music, but it didn't get the same attention as music that was just about nothing. And I had to accept that. I could have stopped making music, or I could have made the music that was more like that, but I just stayed true to myself. So I say all this to say that I need to unite the entire state of California, and I have the ability to do that. And that's where I work. I'm not a politician, I'm a politician, but I'm transparent, I'm honest, and I'm fun. And I wanna encourage young people and children and anyone 18 or older to just get involved in politics in their state. I want to end the gang war. I want everyone to leave the gangs and use their independent brains, because there's a lot of flock voting on both sides.
Does this mean you're running as an independent, or do you have a party affiliation?
I'm running as an independent because I cannot say not to join the gangs if I join one. You know, I understand that I look at everybody like people. And in my mind, how I see it is, I'm going to unite the people in truth. And there are different things that I believe need to happen in the state of California. And that is everybody needs to come together for the same cause. I need to be close with the governor.
Do you have a like a PAC backing you, or do you have a place people can donate? How can they help you?
Well, I got a website, and they can donate to me through my website. I have a treasurer, Sina Avery.
Good.
She's amazing.
What is it?
So it's listentotish.org. You can go there. You can sign up to my mailing list. You can also donate. And honestly, I'm just starting. So I'm going to do a bunch of rallies. They're going to be I'm going to be the funnest candidate y'all ever saw. It's going to be lots of fun. I'm singing at all the rallies.
Well,
I'm bringing the kids out.
Up against Karen Bass, that's really not saying much, but I believe you independently of how boring she is. I can't wait to watch you do this. I can't wait to support you. I'm so proud of you and admire you so much for everything you've done, Tish. Good luck.
Thank you, Megyn.
All right, don't forget, folks, it's listentotish.org, listentotish.org. And we are back tomorrow with Maureen Callahan. Wow, what a day. We'll see you then.